Greene Street Joinery and the American Craftsman podcast are proud to partner with Montana Brand Tools. Montana Brand Tools are manufactured by Rocky Mountain Twist in Montana, USA. With numerous patents dating back to the invention of the hex shank system by our founders, we strive to produce accessories that add precision, flexibility, and efficiency to your toolkit. In addition to woodworking tools, we produce many high-quality cutting tools that are used by the aerospace, medical, automotive, and industrial markets. Our end product has a fit and finish that is beyond comparison. Montana Brand Tools are guaranteed for life to be free of defects in material and workmanship because we build these tools with pride and determination. For 10% off your order, visit montanabrandtools.com and use the coupon code American Craftsman. Well, we're here. We're back. We had some lunch.
Fast.
Yeah. We're on hour. It's the start of, this would be what? The start of hour 4. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the last episode of the colonial period.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a little wrap up at the end, a little review. And we'll
Is there going to be a quiz?
It could be. We'll
I'm not sure how well I do.
We'll talk about how some of this stuff we discussed over the last 3 episodes relates to now.
Yeah, the title I put up there was Relevance to Today.
The question is it relevant?
Yeah. We're talking about design, furniture, cabinet making, and such that occurred 250 years ago. Is any of it still relevant?
Yeah, because like I said, they're grabbing those things on Facebook Marketplace and painting them with chalk paint. Queen's Anne revival. So the Queen Anne lives on. Matt, I'm going to give you another shout out. The IKAG mug makes another appearance.
Yeah. Does it influence us as so-called modern craftsmen?
I think maybe directly it does not, at least us, because the style of furniture that we're doing. But, we use the music analogy a lot. It's like without Chippendale, would there have been a Stickley? And without Stickley, would there be a Greene Street?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of steps in between, like the stuff that Stickley was sort of railing against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he was going against stuff like Chippendale, this extravagant using mahogany and all the carving and marquetry. Well, I mean, Stickley did do some marquetry, but
yeah. So I wrote down a couple of notes about the Chippendale. Obviously, there's a bunch of antiques that are still around.
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple that are worth, sold for millions. The Harrington commode, there's that word again. It's basically a chest of drawers, sold for $5 million.
That's a $5 million toilet.
That's right. Commode, from the French, meaning suitable or convenient. So that definitely has a bearing on what we do. I mean, it's still relevant because it exists.
Right. It's still out there it's still being bought and sold now.
Yeah.
Things that were built, 250 years ago.
I don't know of anybody, but I bet up in New England there are some shops like ours that basically just specialize in that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if he does any Chippendale stuff per se, but I know like guys like Robert Bliss, they're doing historic reproductions and interpretations of historic pieces that are, in this sort of vein of furniture.
Right. And at the bottom end, you can go to Raymore and Flanagan and pick up Chippendale for $1,000.
Yeah. In mahogany finish.
Yeah. I said it has as much to do with Thomas Chippendale's work as chicken parmigiana has to do with actual Italian food.
Oh, yeah. Telling me chicken parmigiani ain't Italian? This one I want to know. How'd my mute get off on my laptop?
That's right. I'm sure we shocked a lot of folks with that one there.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. There's no go to Italy. There's no chicken parm.
What about garlic knots? That's funny. You put Raymore and Flanagan in there, and that's what I mentioned that.
I know.
Episode or two ago.
Yeah, we spent too much time together. Yeah, obviously,
all those commercials. Ashley Furniture. You get it down at the Cabinet and Upholstery Warehouse.
That's right.
They're having a sale this weekend. 0% financing.
Yeah.
Anything with a red sticker is 25% off.
So, what do you think of Chippendale's influence?
Well, I mean, you could see how far-reaching it was. It made it all the way across the Atlantic over to the colonies, and if it was going that far, you can only imagine how it spread through Europe like wildfire. And as we know, all things European were coming here after the fact. So, with the publication that he put out, he was probably the most influential. I mean, you could say it without any doubt. He was the most influential person in furniture at that time.
Yeah. What about today? I mean, could you consider who would we consider might be more influential, not in our little world, but in general? Is there anybody that's had more impact
in the entirety of?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'd say now the influence is coming mostly from like the Danish modern kind of stuff and the more contemporary kind of.
Yeah. But like if you're walking down the street and you stop somebody and said, "Did you ever hear of Chippendale Furniture?" It would probably say, well, it depends how old they are, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I think most people would have no idea.
No? I think there's a name recognition, but then I think there's a big disconnect on could you say, well, what does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, the term Chippendale, it's in people's vocabulary because of there's Chippendale furniture, there's the Chippendale railing, there's Chippendale's the strip joint. It's just that's
there's
like
Chippendale the cartoon.
Yeah, Chip and Dale. So I think in that way the name recognition is there, but I don't think people would have any idea what it actually is.
I don't either. I mean, it's a household name to a certain degree, but so is Mr. Clean.
Yeah. We're furniture makers, so Chippendale, we know what Chippendale is. And, I didn't know a whole lot about Chippendale style, but, had seen examples of it.
Yeah, me either. And I mean, and the stuff that we saw, it was pretty broad.
Yeah, I just,
range.
I always associated Chippendale with, like, highly ornate. That was just...
That's about what I thought, too.
Yeah. But, a person on the street's not going to say, well, yeah, Chippendale had a lot of cabriole legs and the ribbon carvings and... Right.
Before these last few episodes, I couldn't have been able to tell the difference between something from Newport and something from...
oh, God, yeah, no.
Chippendale.
Not even close.
And then we kind of got to see the difference between, like, the country style of Chippendale and Philadelphia's version of the Queen Anne. I mean, all that stuff's similar, but it's part of our, vernacular now as far as being able to look at something with an educated eye and go, oh, I see where that came from, and I can trace the lineage.
Yeah, it wasn't so hard, was it? See how easy it is to...
Yeah, it only took about 12 hours of reading.
Well, all I had to do was sit here.
No, you were working on other various things.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even like for the listener, now that you just had to wrap your head around a little bit of this information, it really expands your knowledge of furniture.
Yeah.
Just you fill in these little pieces and all of a sudden, the whole picture opens up.
It's true. I'm wondering how we're going to feel as we're like, let's say halfway through, because we'll have done this in its order, in its chronological order. So we're kind of naturally building on it as it occurred.
Right.
And we can piece it together. Certainly a learning experience for us.
Yeah.
I asked a question more of myself. Like, is Chippendale considered high art in the same way we think of classical music? The same technique, skills, and design cues needed to complete a piece of Chippendale taught in the same manner that music students are taught Mozart, Bach, or Beethoven? And then does that apply to, sort of like regular life and regular craft as it's, more commonly done?
I'm not sure I follow your question.
Well, so we got Chippendale, and all those skills that are needed to do it, whether it's designing it, following the proportion and all that. And then there's the different hand skills that are needed. It reminds me more of like how somebody who's going to school to study music is going to study classics.
Right. Like you go to Berkeley, you're going to learn about all these compositions from Mozart, Bach, and Beethoven.
But then there's a certain detachment between that and like popular culture. So, how relevant is it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, to the common person, Chippendale's not relevant in the least bit.
Right.
He's only relevant to us because we're furniture makers.
Yeah, we have to think about things in our small little worlds, and not in a grander scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's on us to put that out to other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't look to the banker for music.
Right.
You don't expect the banker to come up with a new hit song. You look at the musician, and the musician has studied all of these things in the past, and now they're creating an interpretation or even a ripoff of something, old.
Right, like Led Zeppelin copied the blues musicians that came before them.
Right.
Do we feel any connection to Chippendale?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, to some degree, because it's all roads lead here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what did you get out of seeing his stuff?
I mean, definitely an appreciation of the level of craftsmanship.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty insane.
Yeah, on the chairs especially, I really took away the use of negative space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those chests, the level of detail on that it's almost incomprehensible.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like going to the Vatican and, looking at everywhere you turn in the Vatican, there's like there's an outlet cover that somebody spent 12 years working on, God. Things like that.
I can only imagine.
But that's what it looks like when you look at that chest. It's like, how long did this take? Yeah. How many people worked on this and how many hours are into it?
Yeah.
And how could we build something like that and make a living?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a select few number of people who are, who do this commission work where it's all, they might work on it for 6 months, something like that.
Yeah. 2 years. Imagine working on one piece of furniture for 2 years.
Yeah. I can't. It would have to be, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, because we kind of get bored with projects in a way if they're too big and too long.
Yeah, I get bored after a week sometimes.
Like you've been working on those watch boxes.
Oh, Lord, I don't want to talk about those.
But imagine if
5 more.
Imagine if that like one guy might be doing like ball and claw feet, for years and years.
Yeah. The problem with those watch boxes, it's made up of like 6 parts of all just tedious BS.
Yeah, yeah.
None of which requires much skill. Just
imagine how proficient you'd be though if that's all you did was like make the octagonal box. Like that would be what somebody did. It's not as glamorous as folks outside think it is.
yeah, like proficiency is cool, but once you get it, it's no more fun.
No.
It's like, all right, now I'm proficient at
It's
it.
almost worse.
Yeah. No, it is worse. That's why I've been procrastinating on these stupid things. They are finally finished.
Yeah.
The 3. I'm going to make 5 more.
Yeah.
I think he thinks I'm like making all kinds. He's like, you got the other ones? I'm like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
He thinks they're just popping them out.
Yeah. He's like, you got any of the Pateks? I'm like, no, what? I'm not making anything unless you tell me explicitly that I want 2 of these, 3 of these. You know, they think we're just jerking around.
Yeah, it takes time. Those things take a lot of time.
And money.
Yeah. That leads me to this question, and I think I already asked it, but at today's cost of living, can a Chippendale piece be produced in America for profit?
Mass produced, no, but produced, yes. You just got to find a buyer.
Yeah.
I mean, there are guys building that kind of stuff and getting paid for it.
Yeah. I wonder what it would cost. You know,
Probably talking about $50,000 for one, like let's say a high boy, $50K.
Yeah. I saw there's a guy who started a company in Asia somewhere, like Indonesia or something like that, doing all Chippendale reproductions.
Oh, really?
And the chairs were like $500 and $600 each.
They do a lot of carving in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And they're fast and cheap.
I was pretty shocked.
I'm not shocked by anything anymore when it comes to making things cheaply. It's crazy, how cheap some things are.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder. It's like, well, it's just another form of exploitation, I suppose.
Yeah, and, it's not made to the same level that Chippendale would have made it. There's no way.
No. I would love to examine one up close.
Yeah, they're probably using some cheap acacia wood or something, some kind of crappy swamp tree.
Some swamp mahogany.
They're working, on a dirt floor with no shoes on, no bench. Paying these people next to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those jobs are the only way to make a living after there's, it makes it impossible to be a subsistence farmer, which is a lot of times what that population comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Once that becomes impossible, they got to make a living by hook or by crook.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
So there's some guy in a suit somewhere wringing his hands, ready to pounce and make a couple bucks off the sweat of somebody else.
Yeah, not much has changed, has it?
Not really.
So should we review what we've done in these past episodes?
Yeah, we could hit some of the broader points just as a little bit of a summary.
Yeah, where'd we start?
Started with the Chippendales and the Townsends and so we're talking about the influences of colonial furniture, Jacobean, whatever the hell it is. Carolean. So Carolean, you're getting into a little bit lighter. Jacobean was the real heavy.
Oh yeah,
heavily carved, just heavy looking. Then
like
the
a Viking chair.
Yeah, the Carolean, you're starting to lighten up a little bit with sort of like a gothic kind of look to it. Then where do we go from there? Into the
William and Mary.
William and Mary, which is getting closer to that Queen Anne kind of look. Then you go into the Queen Anne, where you're getting cabriole legs and things are starting to lighten up. It's the casework is up on thin legs and stuff. And
Chippy.
Yeah, then you got Chippendale, who's playing off of the William and Mary or the Queen Anne.
Yeah.
Doing his spin on that, and he's influenced by Chinese furniture and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, imagine what it took to be exposed to things from China.
Yeah.
That's wild, and how exotic and far off it must have seemed to someone in the buying public, even the rich people that could afford Chippendale's work.
Mm-hmm.
Who went to China?
Yeah, Marco Polo.
Yeah. So again, world events influencing design.
Mm-hmm.
Trade with Asia, people bringing things back from Asia, whether they be boxes or chests or pieces of furniture, influences design, becomes vogue.
Yep.
That's where all this stuff comes from. The Renaissance, even the Italian Renaissance influences the Baroque.
Mm-hmm.
Out of Italy, which influences the French, which influences the English.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's anything today that's as significant. We seem to go in trends nowadays instead of, I guess these were trends.
Yeah.
But they seem so fleeting and flimsy compared to.
They were. There was just more to be discovered back then. You know what I mean?
I guess so. I guess since we've done it all, we've played all the chords.
Yeah. Or maybe that's maybe we're just looking through the lens of now, and in 300 years they're going to be talking about how things were.
Went from white shaker painted to that half dowel thing that seems to be popular.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
These things seem to move in, except for white painted. I mean, that's a couple of years or more that was going on. Before that, there was that distressed oak.
Yeah, that's
that wire brush.
They're still doing that.
But these things, the time frame is so much shorter.
Yeah, and those might be forgotten to history, and they only, those might not make the history books, but maybe there's something they're going to be looking at the broader picture 250 years from now and say, in the 2000s to the 2500s, they were using influence from the middle of the century prior and blah blah blah.
Yeah, like
because I'm sure there was little patches of, like I said, people doing wacky stuff that is forgotten. Those pieces are gone. They didn't know who did it, when.
If you could go forward and look back on the last 10 years, what would you say were some dominant trends? If you were trying to be a historian and say, back 100 years ago, this is what happened.
I'd say the biggest trends now, aside from like the crappy like white shaker and stuff like that, are, like I said, homages to the mid-century designers, to the Art Deco designers, to the I don't know what you call that sort of like right immediately following World War II. I guess that's like part of the Art Deco period.
Yeah, mid-century, modern.
Yeah, it's like that period between Art Deco and mid-century. Basically, from Art Deco to mid-century, I feel like those are the big driving design elements now. At least when you look at design that is contemporary and is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's a lot of contemporary design that's just shit.
Just mishmash of things. They're picking pieces out of a bin and sticking it together.
Yeah, like the white shaker, that's not design. That's just...
No, that's lazy.
Yeah.
How does something like that become popular?
Well, Do we really want to get into that? You could say the same thing about, TikTok and McDonald's, and people are just, the unwashed masses.
Yes.
Are just simple.
I guess.
Not to say that we're, special, but
it seems like if we looked at these design trends, and we have the benefit of looking back over a couple of centuries, there were significant changes, and it felt like there was so much more going on as far as the design work and the craft. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again.
Yeah, I mean, well, the craft is really gone. And I'm sure we'll see that trend once we hit like the Industrial Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But the craft is gone.
Yeah.
It was only craft then.
Right.
Now it's mass production, and there's this little sliver of craft that remains, which that little sliver will always be there. But you had an entire industry that was a craft. It was real people building furniture by hand. That's how all the furniture got made.
Right.
Now it's what, 0.5% of the furniture, less.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's less.
So it's that the days are gone where you're not going to see innovation, even if there was stuff. What am I trying to say here? Even if there was still things left to be invented in terms of furniture design, which at this point, basically all of it's been done. There's no one to invent it.
Because people are more worried about making it faster and cheaper, right? They want to take a tried and true image, create it quickly and cheaply to sell it.
Yeah.
So a lot of this falls on the designers. What are they doing to innovate and to create?
What designers?
Well, just designers in general.
Like furniture designers?
Yeah. Or materials designers, things like that. That's how I see, the evolution of furniture from early American through Chippendale. Those were some significant changes, and in my view, growth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for lack of a better word. And I wonder where that growth is going to occur in the future, or if we're just going to continue to regurgitate ideas.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's going to be changes, but you see a lot of these changes were being influenced by technology back then too. Like, before there were lathes, there wasn't anything that was turned because they couldn't do it. So at the advent of the treadle lathe, you see turnings become more popular. They weren't doing mortise and tenon joinery when they didn't have iron tools to work with.
Right, no sharp tools.
So now we're at the point where, like, how many more innovations could there be? You got CNC milling now, you got lasers, that kind of stuff, water jets. So we're able to manipulate materials in different ways, which, lead to different designs that you can do. But, what's going to be the next innovation that shakes up the furniture?
That's a good question.
Is there anything that could make a huge shakeup in design? I just don't see, and I guess if we could see, then we'd have the idea. But
right,
I just can't think of anything that.
Yeah, because we're kind of doing things the old-fashioned way. I mean, we're just doing things the way they did it. We're taking wood and putting the pieces together to make a piece of furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see how that would create kind of a ceiling.
Yeah.
So is the future CNC? Is it materials, different materials?
I mean, what
could a CNC do hand can't.
No, I mean, it's not even about CNC versus hand, but it's what could change. What could they? What new thing could we make? What new material could come out that could make us build things differently? We got plywood that bends. We got hardwood. We got plastics. There's
metals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm stumped. Because what was the last big design motif? What was it? Was it mid-century modern? What followed that? The 60s and 70s, possibly.
The atomic age type stuff. And
yeah.
Then, there was definitely a style in the 70s, and
yeah, that's when they introduced plastics and things like that. They had those egg chairs and those round plastic chairs with the cushion in them.
Mm-hmm.
So then the 80s came. Anything there?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't born. You're gonna have to take that decade.
80s. Let's see what. I was like living in a car basically. So I can't think of anything of note in the 80s. You know what I remember from the 80s is there was sort of like this musically, there was a bit of a throwback to the 50s.
Okay.
That was the first time I remember there being this look backward and became like a fashion sense.
Right.
So maybe that was when something new stopped being...
well, let's say like 80s, think like disco. I guess that's what.
Late 70s,
yeah.
Like 81, 82.
Think of like a disco guy's like pad, he's got some kind of, I would think that's kind of like a mid-century atomic-y, kind of plastic-y.
Yeah. I think a disco guy lived at home with his mom, and he was...
Well, yeah. The original disco man.
The original disco man. Did you know that James Brown was the original disco man?
Yeah, he put out an entire disco album.
We learned that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Much to, and this is the word of the podcast,
chagrin.
Chagrin, yes.
Yep.
It was not pleasant.
That was a terrible song. We'd play it for you, but they'll probably take us off air.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm not sure if we've got anything left on this time in
time in question.
Yeah, the early the colonial period.
Mm-hmm. Let's going back to the how it could be used today. How could we incorporate some sort of Chippendale element, or not necessarily just Chippendale, but one of these colonial design elements into a modern piece of furniture?
That's a good question. They had a lot of carvings. All that stuff is, we did that with the altar rail, although it was, done by a machine, CNC'd.
Yeah.
But still, I would say that piece incorporated a bit of, the Jacobine was high relief carving. That was high relief carving.
Had that heavy, blocky kind of look to it. With the 6x6 posts, whatever they were, 6x6, 5x5 posts.
Yeah.
The chunky top rail.
Yeah, that was, if anything, Jacobine with a little mixture of
Craftsman.
Yeah, we can't help. That's our real language, is sort of the Craftsman, Stickley, Greene brothers. That's I think everybody that does what we do has a little bit of that in them.
Yeah, because it's not so far in the past. It's still pretty fresh. Yeah. We're only talking 100 years ago.
And it's attainable. It's not as difficult to do as,
Yeah, it was made for common people.
Right. Try to build a Newport style chest.
Right.
that's being done all the time, especially in the New England area. But I guess there's a taste for it there as well. As the consumer has a taste for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you imagine us trying to sell that to somebody down here?
Yeah, probably not.
We live, sort of on the coast. People, they always beachy.
Yeah.
Give me that.
We are on the coast.
What's that?
We are on the coast.
Yeah. They want that weathered look sometimes, the cottage look, all that stuff that sort of, makes it seem like a stereotypical beachfront kind of place.
Yeah.
Or you have the McMansions.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of furnishings they got in those places?
I mean, I could see like Queen Anne kind of stuff in those.
Yeah.
Or, it depends. I mean, people have different aesthetics, and the outside of the house doesn't, always dictate the what they have on the inside.
It's true. I mean, there was quite a mixture of stuff where we put in that really modern glass and metal cabinet.
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is people who are spending money on furniture, like people that we would build furniture for,
mm-hmm.
they have a contemporary taste, typically.
Yeah.
That's,
Yes, I agree with that.
So they're, taking design cues from mid-century and other, sort of the classic periods, and there might be a combination of all different, you could see in that room with the wine thing. The wine thing is, I don't even know. That's a completely contemporary design because it's not like anything. It's just a steel box basically. But then you have like the credenza, which is sort of mid-century, and then the chairs and couch and stuff are really more like Art Deco-y, and then
remember those tables?
Yeah,
they were quite sculptural,
mm-hmm.
and they had that high gloss lacquer kind of finish on them.
Yep.
In colors and bright colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, patterned rug, I mean, I do like well-executed transitional design.
Yeah.
And I think that is the design style of now. When they look back in 250 years,
That's a good point.
Because is an amalgamation of a bunch of different designs not its own thing? I mean, we just talked about how Chippendale was a combination of all these different designs. Well, that's what's going on now.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, it only took us 37 minutes to drive that circle all the way back down to the beginning.
Well, sometimes you have to think out loud.
Yeah.
But I agree with you 100%. If you look at what the designers are bringing us,
mm-hmm.
It's pretty modern.
Yeah.
It's at least in that box.
Yeah, like 1940 to present.
Right. And when we're left to our own devices, we kind of we have some of that in us, some of the modern mixed with craftsman
mm-hmm.
style. We're dealing with rectangles and that kind of classic proportion.
Yeah.
And I never thought of the word transitional to describe it, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's what they actually call it.
Yeah. So kudos to you.
Get a gold star.
It must be that lunch you got.
I can
that
hear
brain
it in
food.
my stomach now. You can probably hear we got that post-lunch slump.
Yeah. But we're going to pick it up big time for the Patreon.
That's right. We're going to shoot 4 Patreon episodes after this. So maybe we give everybody a little update of what's going on in the shop. We got 20 minutes left here, so
okay.
I know everybody misses that. Those of you who don't care about learning and bettering yourself.
Shame on you.
If you don't, you probably didn't make it this far. You probably already unsubscribed.
If you don't care about learning, you unsubscribe to us, and you're now listening to something else. And you're going, man, those guys lost it.
Yeah. If you can't stand listening to us anymore, go check out our buddy Keith's podcast.
Yeah.
Keith, Tony, and Chad over at the Working Hands podcast.
Yeah, they're shooting from the hip over there.
Yeah, a bunch of good guys.
Yeah. I heard Rob's thinking about I keep calling him Rob
Corey.
because I'm thinking about my friend Rob, but his friend Rob, it's Corey.
Yeah, Corey and what's his buddy's name? Matt, maybe? Yeah, they were thinking about maybe by now, when you guys hear this in 5 weeks.
They might have it.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to call it, but.
Yeah, but we'll check that out too.
Yeah. The hell were we talking about?
What's going on in the shop? Any new tools since the last time we spoke?
I got that gimbal yesterday.
Oh, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, so hopefully by now, when you're hearing this, we will have made an effort to shoot some video with it and put said videos out.
Yeah, so explain exactly what that thing does.
Well, a gimbal this is for a phone, so it's like a handle, and your phone mounts in it, and your phone is suspended. There's actually little motors in it, too, and it'll balance the phone. You know, it's like a gyroscopic kind of deal, so you could turn your hand, and the phone will stay, and it has a little joystick. You can point the thing around. You can lock on to a person. It'll follow them around. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you could set it up on a desktop and things like that, and it'll
go on a tripod. It's cool.
It's amazing technology for $150.
Yeah, crazy.
Keith had one up at the Makers meetup, but
Manny got one, and we got one. Pulled the trigger.
Yeah, he texted me last night. He wanted to know if I had it all figured out yet. I said no. I left that to you.
Who, Manny?
Yeah. I think he's having a hard time with it.
Yeah, it is a little. It's hard to figure out. Well, I mean, it's not hard to figure out, but it has its quirks that you gotta figure out.
Yeah.
Because you try and steer it, it doesn't, because it just stays where you gotta actually use the joystick thing. You know, you can move it anywhere in the one plane, but if you turn your hand, well, I guess if you don't have it locked on. Yeah, I mean, even I only have about 15 minutes of use on it. But it is cool. It makes the footage look nice because it's nice and stable.
That's probably part of it, too. It's like a steady cam.
That's exactly what it is. They have them for big cameras. And they're crazy expensive when you get into that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, crazy technology for $150.
Yeah. And that's new.
Yeah.
I mean, our relationship with vesting is new.
Yeah.
We had a pretty cool meeting with was it Jake?
Zach. Yeah, Zach. So Zach is, I guess there's two owners. He's one of the owners of Vesting USA. So he works directly with Vesting Europe. Actually, Vesting USA does Canada and United States. So they're out in Pennsylvania, like right near our lumber supplier. He came out to the shop and demoed a bunch of stuff for us, gave us some samples, handed out like a dozen cans of finish at the maker camp.
We had a nice lunch that day too from Big Mike's.
Yeah,
that's what I remember the most.
It was good. That's always the best way to kick off a relationship with somebody, to sit down and have a meal.
It was a great day too. It was really nice. We were sitting on the back porch. Eating some nice big sandwiches.
Yeah. Yeah, that LED finish is really cool. And you will have seen it by now when you listen to this.
I wish we had some footage of Bliss pouring that beer out right after we did. I mean, it was less than a minute after it was done. It was like 10, 20 seconds.
I think we could recreate that. Doesn't have to be with beer, but maybe coffee.
Yeah,
those
there you
coffee
go.
stains, Maybe we get like a piece of maple, put it on there, dump some coffee in it.
Nice. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And watch it beat up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the UV stuff is very cool. It still kind of feels like magic.
Yeah.
You touch it, you don't quite believe it that it's dry.
Yeah, I mean, instantaneous. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Even like you wipe it on, with a towel, you can hit the towel with the light and it
freezes it.
Yeah. Becomes a hard, like a.
Well, there's a bit of acrylic in there.
Yeah.
In the UV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool stuff. What else? Well, we're still waiting to get paid by that dickhead up in Newark.
Yeah, if anybody's been following that story.
Yeah.
And I bet by the time this airs, we'd still be waiting to get it paid.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to wind up... Well, we're definitely going to have to go to arbitration.
Yeah, shell out $1,000 for that.
It's going to cost us money to get our money back.
Right, and you don't get that money back.
No.
You can't. In New Jersey, you can't even...
That's the really shitty part of all this.
Yeah.
Like this... And
no protection for the little guy.
None at all. And I guess that's what people who are in that, in his position bank on.
Mm-hmm.
But he owes us too much money. We have to do it. And unfortunately, it's going to come out of our profit, but we have no choice.
Mm-hmm. What else? Oh, well, we went to Maker Camp last week.
Yeah.
Which is, again, this is all going to be old news to you, but that was a lot of fun. Did some blacksmithing, hung out with a bunch of different people. It was a good time. We're going back next year. We're got some plans in the work. We won't speak about those because it's all secretive at this point, but
yeah.
We'll be back. We already booked our room.
What'd you think of the Blackthorn?
It was better than expected. Everybody made it seem like it was going to be like a serious dump. And, I didn't see the other rooms, but our room was clean,
Yeah.
It was not modern by any stretch of the imagination, but,
It may be like the Unisaw syndrome with the dust collection.
That's what it was, yeah. Lower your expectations.
We were so happy with our room.
Yeah.
I mean...
It was better than I expected.
Could it be that we just lived on a certain strata? Or
I think it was just an expectation thing.
Right. We weren't expecting the Hyatt. We didn't get the Hyatt, but we got so much more than we had expected.
Everybody made it seem like you're going to fall through the floor and that, there'd be like a... Now, the place up the road, we can't speak to that because I know Corey, he had a hell of a time over there, but yeah, it was fine.
We had plenty of hot water. We didn't try out the jacuzzi tub, which I know Manny regrets.
The beds were fine. My back didn't hurt at all.
No,
I know Tony said he folded up into like a clam on his.
I slept great.
Me too. I don't know if that was the beer or it was the bed.
From the first night on. And I usually, we stayed, when we went to Vegas, we stayed in a much nicer place, and I don't think I was any more comfortable there. I think I was less comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I slept on that cot in Vegas. That thing sucked.
Yeah.
Even Manny said that his cot was better than his bed at home.
Yeah.
Maybe it's us.
And what about that food?
The food was good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
And especially...
Better than going to Chili's or some shit.
Oh, yeah. Much better.
They had pie every night.
Yep. Pie every night.
Just don't order the chocolate pie.
And after I discovered the cold cereal section for breakfast, forget about it.
Yeah.
Whole milk and cold cereal.
Mm-hmm.
Had my Frosted Mini Wheats, my Fruit Loops. If they would have had Cocoa Puffs, I would have been out of my mind.
Cocoa Puffs are a little too crunchy for me.
Yeah, Cocoa Puffs. Golden Grahams would have been another one. I could have just probably eaten about 12 boxes.
Yeah,
those little tiny bowls that they had there.
Yeah. Mini Wheats, though. I didn't get into the cereal. I was having intestinal issues at that point from all the drinking and eating that I don't typically do.
And same with Manny, too.
Yeah.
Manny made a new friend.
Yeah.
We made lots of new friends.
Yeah.
It was very cool, especially meeting people that we chat with on Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Because the voice is so familiar.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing. You see their face for the first time, which is odd. But then very quickly, it's as if you know them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, like me, I know what everybody looks like because I'm on the Instagram, and there's that cross contamination of people. But yeah, you go into Clubhouse, you don't know what the hell any of these people are.
No. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. I mean, meeting Matt, the thing is, it's just by its nature, you're going to have a lot in common with these folks anyway.
Yeah.
So it really makes it a good time.
Mm-hmm. I had a great time hanging out with Corey and Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Those are awesome dudes.
Rob was quite an understated fellow, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's quite an accomplished. He always refers to himself as a hobbyist because, and
it's not his full time.
Right, the true sense he is. But he's quite accomplished, and he had some great stories about his time working for New York City Transit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about
welding the train tracks together. That's no joke. I didn't even know that was a thing. I had no idea. I never even thought about it. I figured there was just like a joint.
Yes, that they were bolted together somehow.
Yeah. But I guess it's got to be perfectly seamless.
What about the night we spent talking to Johnny?
Johnny who?
DeResta.
Oh, yeah. That was funny. He said he would come on the podcast. I don't see how we could make it about woodworking, but he does a little bit of woodworking.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Maybe we could.
I think John's the kind of guy all you got to do is push start.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
you saw where the conversation went. We had to have a briefing beforehand.
Yeah. not PC and all that stuff.
Say, listen, don't tell the story about the guy that used to have sex with the female bums.
Yeah.
We're going to lose our sponsorship.
Yeah, my side was hurting there for a little while.
Oh, that was a riot.
He was funny. Yeah, what else? We missed the Pine Car Derby though. Pinewood Derby. Everything flew by so fast.
Yeah, it was like there wasn't enough hours in the day.
That's the amazing thing. We were in this little area. The days just flew by.
Yeah, you go to breakfast at 8:30 or whatever. You get out and you start going to whatever. We did like the blacksmithing. Then it was lunch.
Right.
So you go back to the room, eat some lunch, sit down, relax for an hour or whatever. You get back up, you do a little, and then it's dinner.
Exactly.
And then after dinner, inevitably you crack open a beer, you start hanging out.
Yeah, it was just
kind of just milling around.
And chatting for 6 hours, which flew by.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good time.
It really was. I tell you, I'm not kind of person to socialize like that and that.
Me neither.
Yeah, right. Neither of us are. And I'm also not the kind of person to look forward to doing something again like that, but I really am.
Yeah. Yeah, like typically, like even if I just go to like a friend's place, like I'll be exhausted from the socializing. But I don't know. I guess maybe because there's so many different people and people, who you know but don't really know, it was kind of different.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to step up our game for the swap next year.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to get a new announcer.
Yeah, that announcer sucked.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that on Patreon and give us something to talk about. Yeah, some of the stuff in that swap were, the thing that Corey won.
My God.
Insane metalwork.
Yeah.
Go to Corey's Instagram, CT Woodwork.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's got pictures up there.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any. But things that don't use me as
I know he definitely posted stories about it
as a be all.
Yeah, you're not an authority on Instagram.
Things totally fly by me. I'll catch like every fourth thing.
No, he doesn't have. No, he doesn't have anything up. But that's not to say that 5 weeks from now he won't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because a lot of what I saw up to this point was just sort of like recapping.
Yep.
The people, which is what everybody's kind of done. That's a great picture of Manny.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a photographer there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was great.
Taking pictures of everybody. And that's like if you go on Instagram and see all these black and whites, that's why everybody's got these great photos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah. You'll have to send me those.
Yeah, oh yeah, I got him in the email. We should have taken more, but one of those things. Hindsight.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yeah. I did. I changed a couple pictures on the website.
That's awesome.
We didn't have any pictures of ourselves. You always like to see who you're going to work with before you work with them.
Is that why realtors always have a picture? I always wonder why realtors are like the one trade where there's always a picture.
Yeah, and, you don't see many ugly realtors.
No.
Like, they may not all be, like, good, like, what you would say good looking, but none of them are, like, ugly.
And they got a good photographer.
Oh, yeah.
They get dressed up. They take that one shot.
Yep.
And they may never look like that again, but...
That's true. If they want to sell a house, they will, though.
Yeah. What'd your realtor look like?
Karen? She's a middle-aged woman.
Yeah.
She's
good.
Pretty. Yeah.
Look good in her photo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. We know Karen personally.
That's it.
Yeah.
That same thing, like all the realtor photos I've seen.
Drives a Mercedes, you gotta put up, keep up the appearances.
That's it.
Like
That's
us.
it. Exactly. We show up in our Mercedes.
Yeah, we're not the best looking guys ever, but we're no ugly ducklings.
We'll hold our own.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, maybe we'll do our little plug session and we'll call this one quits. We're eking up on an hour. We'll talk about vesting first. We are partnered up with Vesting Finishes as affiliates. We use them in the shop. They're hard wax oils, and we're hoping to get into the LED cured system pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to save up the money to save for that ridiculous light that it uses. Like a $4,000 light. Not to deter you from wanting to use it, but
gets like the 12 times as hot as the sun.
Yeah, like it'll like set your table on fire if you leave the light on there. It's that bright. It's got 3 computer fans, not even computer, like 3 fans on top of the light itself and an external
controller,
12 by 12 by 24 power source with a tether over to the thing. But yeah, they're Dutch-made finishes, similar to Rubio Monocoat, essentially the same kind of idea. It's like a flax oil and hard wax finish. They have 40 or some colors. Nice stuff, goes on great. I think it goes on easier and dries faster than Rubio.
Yeah.
At least
very similar.
Yeah. Doesn't have that greasy kind of feeling after you wipe it off like Rubio does, which in our shop is like a magnet for dust.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like stop all work when there's, finish that's been put on in the same day. If you use the code American Craftsman, you get 10% off. You can buy it on their sister business's website, rpmcoatingsolutions.com. And yeah, it helps out the podcast. You get some nice finish, get a discount. It's going to end up being cheaper than Rubio.
It's a win-win.
That way, yeah. Plus their branding is pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
If that strikes a chord with you at all.
They gave us nice shirts.
Yeah.
I gave mine to Manny because it looked like a medium.
It looks like a medium on me too. I'm gonna have to drop a couple pounds if I plan on wearing it. You know what it is? It's the side like screen print on. If you're overweight in the least bit, it does not look flattering.
So we gave him to the skinniest guy we know.
Yeah, like let me just like show the contour of my man boob.
Manny's the smallest guy we know, so. He got my shirt.
I didn't even dry it beforehand. Yeah. Like if I put it through the dryer, there's no way.
All I needed was you. I mean, I was looking at it suspiciously, and then you came in the next day and said something. I didn't even put it on. I didn't have the guts to put it on. I just gave it to me.
I put it in the drawer. Maybe if I drop like 25 pounds, I could wear it. Which I do need to buckle back down. I'm hurting after all this maker camp eating.
Oh yeah.
We gotta thank our gold tier patrons. Where's my mouse? I'm looking at a screen that's about 4 feet away. We got Adam Pothast. We got Colin Lai, Corey Ty, David Murphy, David Shoemaker, Jerry Greenan, Keith Drennan, Manny Sirianni. Thanks, guys.
Thank
nice,
you.
We get to call half of you guys like friends, like real friends.
Yes.
So, means a lot.
I mean, I feel like I know Rob and Corey like 100 years already.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody be well out there.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for the next installment. Do we know what the what the hell the subject matter is?
My guess is federal, but I'm not positive.
12 periods. It's if I put in 12, it comes up. That's how many times I've had to look it up. No, it's not.
Let's see. What would Sheridan? Hepplewhite?
No.
Not federal.
Where'd it go? I hate that when you have to click read more. Pennsylvania Dutch, 1720 to 1830.
So that's going to be interesting because I don't really know anything about it. It might be like where the shaker that we know of comes from.
Well, it's basically in the same time period as colonial.
Yeah.
Because it's 1720 to 1830 and then overlapping with federal 1780 to 1820.
So it's going to be a regional thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we appreciate it. Check us out on YouTube. Yeah. Check us out on Patreon. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you would like. Helps out the podcast. We're not begging. We're just asking.
Yeah.
But with that, yeah, we'll see you next week.